Good morning, friends. Nice to see you. Nice to see your names and your little greetings and your brief weather reports, etc., etc. So welcome. Week of practicing together, sitting together, exploring together, sensing into the territory and the texture of being here in any given moment. The changing nature of whatever's going on inwardly and outwardly. And the invitation really of our practice to see what's home. What's home in the midst of all this changing texture of experience, all this changing territory that we pass through, the inner territory of our emotional lives and our changing ideas and wishes and thoughts and beliefs and fears, and the changing external territory of wherever we are and the different contexts that we pass through, our working life and our home life and our social life and our alone life and our with others life and all of that. So I've kind of themed this week like that, as being in the midst of it all. And I'm moving around a lot this week, so I'll be doing this from a variety of different locations. As you can see, this is not my usual kind of nicely Buddhist orientated little meditation space at home, but is a child's bedroom somewhere in rural central France. I'm staying with some old friends overnight, or I have stayed with some old friends. And very old friends, actually, since I've known since I was 10. Yeah. So it's that feeds into this, in the midst of it all, very dear friends since we're 10 years old, and then since our partners know each other, and actually our children are similar ages, and our children grew up together and are like cousins. So on the one hand, there's this long history of affection and friendship and memories and connection. And on the other hand, our lives are really wildly different. And if we were to meet today, I don't know if we'd be friends. We certainly wouldn't find much of our lives that we have in common. And, you might have a similar situation, like even maybe spending the holidays with family. Family we've known forever, but we might wonder, if I was to just meet these people, like, at a party, would I feel close to them? So it's interesting, that invitation, right? How easily we go along with just a sense of liking and not liking, wanting and not wanting, feeling attracted to or feeling resistant to, as if that is the main criterion for how we behave to something or to someone, whether I like it or not, whether I agree or not. If I like and I agree, I pull towards. If I don't like and I disagree, I pull away from. And of course, there's an element of that. We are attracted to that which we find pleasant. Right? We are wary of or repelled by that which we feel to be unpleasant or to be dangerous, etc. But there's another orientation, not that we stop being attracted to or resist or not liking, but more primary than our preferences. What's a more primary orientation than our preferences and wishes and likes and dislikes? What's a more primary, what's more important, what's freer than bouncing off our wishes and preferences? What's really home in the midst of it all? So that's a little bit the orientation this week, as I move through these different territories and places and people and connections and situations, as you do too, even if you're, at home all week and going to work all week and doing the same thing all week. We're still constantly moving through the different territories of experience, different textures of feeling and response, etc. And because it's coming up to the holidays as well, I thought, oh, maybe this is it's a kind of helpful theme, because this time of year tends to be intense and maybe chaotic even to some degree. Right? There's an intensity of sort of trying to finish things off for the end of the year, an intensity of, trying to meet deadlines maybe before the things close down for the holidays, if they do. Intensity of preparing for holidays. Maybe you're receiving people to stay with you. Maybe you're going away to visit with them. Maybe you have various conflicting feelings about how that might be, etc. Or maybe you're alone. You're going to be alone, and that over the holidays, and that has a whole feeling tone. Or maybe you're working but would rather not be, etc. Whatever's going on, holiday time or any other holiday time, what's a kind of trustworthy orientation in the midst of it all? So there's several ways we could describe that orientation, several qualities that we could look at, several qualities that we will look at through the week. Right? So, maybe what's the most obvious? You could actually put it in the chat box. I'd be interested to see what comes to mind. What seems to come to mind as the most primary sort of Dharma orientation? What's the most primary quality that seems like home in the midst of it all? Right. Awakeness, says Yup. Yeah. Breath. Right. Yeah. Come into the breath. Yeah. Equanimity. Mm. Mm. Yeah. So, safety, kindness, presence. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Feeling the ground, which is also kind of a quality of presence, like, oh yeah, knowing I'm here. Here-ness. Right? Here in the midst of it all. That idea of the eye in the storm. That there's the idea in the middle of the swirl of circumstance. There's a possibility for stillness. And the word stillness can easily be misunderstood, right? Because we don't necessarily feel still. Right? Our feelings might be quite churny, quite intense. But the quality of real stillness is not feeling still. It's the fact that we could just to come inside that churning feeling. And so there's a lot of synonyms, right, in some of the things you're saying: embodiedness, open-heartedness, presence, gratitude, right, stillness in the storm, etc. And what they're pointing to, and you're pointing to other qualities as well, right, like embracing impermanence, etc. And we'll look at others of those as the days go by. But presence is always a good place to start. So presence, stillness, by which I don't mean feeling still necessarily. That can also happen. I mean, meditation's a great setup for kind of letting go of the way we sort of chase after various movements and distractions and preferences. So we might taste a sense of stillness in meditation, but most essentially, whether we feel still or not, going inside, dropping down, right? That embodied presence someone mentioned. So embodied presence, coming inside of experience. And that sense we can have of the sitting in the midst of it all, being in the midst of it all, a certain kind of steadiness in the midst of it all, equanimity in the midst of it all, awakeness in the midst of it all, presence in the midst of it all. If you've read my book, you might remember that image that I mention in the book from the monastery I stayed in Thailand. It's a big mural drawn on the wall. Flames, huge fire, big orange and yellow, wildly painted flames. And in the midst of the fire, a great big serpent, kind of coiled and swaying, like its big head kind of coming out of the mural, and wild eyes, and a wide open mouth, and big snaky fangs, and its forked tongue sticking out. So there's a lot of kind of wild energy, fire, snake, striking, fangs, tongue. And on the end of the tongue, picture of somebody sitting in meditation. That's what it means to be present in the midst of it all. That one's not trying to stop the storm. One's not trying to flatten the waves. One's not trying to make one's experience be still or be peaceful or even conform to one's wishes. Right? No, you're not. It's a lot of work trying to make your experience peaceful. It's rather to be at peace or come to peace or offer peace to experience the way it is. Right? That's different, right? What is different from trying to make the storm peaceful or offering peace to the storm? The peace of what? Oh, the peace of presence. In the sense of being available. It's like, oh, I'm here. Whatever's going on, I'm here in the midst of it all. Here with a quality of kind of welcome, openness. It's like there is room in this miraculous human consciousness. There's room for experience to come and go, to appear and disappear, to rise and fall, to express and fade. Yeah. So that's the setup, friends, at least for today. Present in the midst of it all. Available to life. Awake wherever you are. All right. So let's sit together in meditation. So please take your time to come inside of experience. Feel, it's like feeling where your attention is. The way attention is easily a little diffuse, distracted, sort of bouncing around like it does habitually. Or the way attention might feel a little dull or heavy or sleepy still or whatever. And it's as if you extend the invitation to your attention. Hey, it's like it's okay. It's okay to come in, to settle, to soften, and to absorb itself into the feel of sitting here. So that just as you sit, and as you sense, and as you breathe, you have that quality of inviting awareness and experience to melt into one another, to blend, the Buddha says, like water and milk. Awareness in the breath, awareness inside of this moment's experience. Which we could equally describe as breathing in awareness, experience appearing in awareness. Awareness in experience, experience in awareness. Present in the midst of it all. Present in the midst of it all means not trying to change what's happening, not fighting with sounds or sensations or thoughts, just sensing, just breathing, just showing up as this awakeness that somehow mysteriously is in the midst of all experience, in the center of everything, while simultaneously being the space around everything. awake in the midst of it all. Present, sensitive, curious, right here in the midst of it all. Open, allowing, right here in the midst of it all. In the comings and goings, the rising and falling. Right here in the midst of breath and sound and sensation. Right here in the midst of swirling thoughts and feelings. Right here in the very heart of life. Right here where everything happens. right here, in the midst of it all. Where we might start to sense the invitation for things to settle and quieten and open. Right here where the heart can be at ease. Right here in the midst of it all where there's nothing to reach for, nothing to resist. Nothing to fight with or flee from. Nothing to make happen. Nothing to stop happening. If attention's easily carried away, it's, it's just like that. We can just keep orientating to just returning, just re-establishing this sense of here in the midst of it all. Present in a sitting body, a breathing body. Present in the midst of sounds and thoughts and everything. Just the willingness to just keep re-engaging this very simple, immediate presence in the midst of it all. And if, as you sit, you find the quality of attention becoming finer, if you find a sense of certain steadiness of being here in the midst of it all, and you can start to just explore or taste the qualities of presence. What are the qualities that come alive when the more you feel like you're really here in the midst of it all? Qualities of relaxation, steadiness, sensitivity, openness, subtlety. Qualities maybe of tenderness or ease, a kind of friendliness towards experience. Capacity to not take things so personally. Ways we might start to just taste more fully the changing nature, the freely unfolding nature, the completely fluid nature of experience, of reality. Mm. So whatever your quality of experience, however steady or not your mind is, you can still just keep orientating, either again and again, or more and more and more, to this sense of being here in the midst of it all. Meditation is constant and boundless opportunity to explore what it really means to be in the midst of it all. Explore the utter mysteriousness of what consciousness is and what experience is. To explore the way we can get infinitely closer and closer and closer to this mystery without ever fully penetrating it. Where we can more and more fully understand what it is to be conscious and more fully see the nature of reality, while also having a greater and greater sense of wonder and mystery and uncertainty. Of being able to really know and see and feel what it is to be here in the midst of it all, whilst not at all being able to really define or explain what this is. This is where we find the taste of freeness. Whatever the territory and texture of experience, whatever the context or circumstance, right here, in the midst of it all, just like this. Maybe you'll commit to the practice of presence. Maybe we all find ourselves right here where we already are. Maybe you'll taste our capacity to be here freely in the midst of it all. Oof. My legs have totally gone to sleep sitting here on the hard floor with no mat. So just going to take a moment to rub a little bit of life back into my poor old ankles. The last thing I can see on the screen is Ruth's comment that it's frozen. So I think it's probably not frozen now, but it might be helpful to have some reassurance from you that, right, okay, all right, well, I see another comment now, so I guess you can see and hear me. I came back. Oh, maybe I was. It's okay. All right, I'll see. So I don't know if you, I was giving quite a lot of guidance during the meditation. I don't know how much of that came through or whether I was frozen for some time. It was glitchy. Yeah, it may be the less than perfect internet connection that I have out here. All right, blurry may be just how I am this morning as well. I'll be in Paris tomorrow, so we'll hopefully have a better internet connection. All right, friends. So a couple of things. Some of you have been writing or asking Kusi about my New Year's retreat. So I am doing that again this year. It's 4 days online over the new year. Idea of spending a little time consciously and contemplatively and in community with others. And it's been very beautiful the last few years. I think I started at the first new year of COVID, and then I wasn't really sure if people would be interested after COVID, but last year people were very keen on that. So yeah, I'm doing it again this year. And if you'd like to come along, please feel free. I can probably put a link in here. The basic information is on the homepage of my website there. And then if you actually want to, the full information and the booking link, whatever, the reservation link or whatever is there. So yeah, I'll mention it again later in the week, maybe at some point. And it's sort of 3 sessions, I think, so morning, afternoon, evening. So it's like 3 touch points through the day. Yeah, you can read more about it at the links if you're interested. And then before we make time for questions, you might have just a reminder that Sangha Live is this wonderful organization that operates completely and solely dependent on your kindness and generosity and support. You know, there's no one else, right? There's no great benefactor. There's no all of the many thousands of euros of monthly expenses are only met by a lot of small donations, and it's pretty precarious. I think in 2021 we ran at a profit, and 2022 we ran at a loss, and 2023 looks like it will just about break even. So it's kind of precarious, right? And we're managing. We've been doing this for however many years now, but anyway, that's the situation. So if you feel moved to make an offering, able to make an offering, etc., whether that feels like a very small, modest offering or whatever, the idea of dana, right? It's not the easiest way. The easiest way would be to have a charge or a subscription model or something. But there's that sense of like wanting to make this run on the basis of mutual care and support and goodwill and offering, as recommended by the Buddha. So that sense that we offer this, we offer the whole platform, we offer access to all the recordings, we offer daily meditations and teachings, we offer this sense of community, and then in return there's the invitation to offer, to supporting me as a teacher this week, supporting Sangha Live, supporting the staff, supporting everybody else who's able therefore to come and practice, etc. So thank you for your offerings, and you can make those offerings at sangha.live/donate. And the link is also in the email that you'll have received to remind you about this morning's session. All right, so there's some time left. If there's things you'd like to air or ask about, comment upon, or explore, here's the opportunity. You can just write any question you might have in the chat box, and if you begin it with writing the word question in capitals, it helps to just differentiate it from the general flow of chat and comments and things. Yeah. Okay. Found it really hard not to do planning at this time of year. Well, Doro, you might need to do some planning. We can have some, it's interesting. We just talk about, being here in the midst of it all, just here, nothing to do, etc. There's different ways to interpret that statement. Sometimes we could say, just be here now. That's the sort of spiritual cliche, be here now. But there can be a sort of abdication of responsibility in that, be here now. I remember when I was the years of traveling in India, and often I'd hear that. I was like, what are your plans? What are you doing? I don't know. I'm just being in the moment. And often that would lead to quite a lot of chaos, because people would try just being in the moment. There's actually a sense of, thinking about when I need to leave, making sure I book my train tickets. It seems all a bit complicated. I'm just going to be in the moment. And then you can't get a train ticket when you want one because they're all booked up, or they're kind of constantly changing. And so you might need to do planning at this time of year or any other time of year. It's an interesting explanation. What does it mean to take care of my future obligations, etc., without just losing myself in projection and planning? What does it mean to take care of planning without imagining that the future is real? So we kind of make our plans as if they're going to happen, but simultaneously clear that it's a very big as if. And then there's that sort of general planning we might need to do, and then there's just the habitual planning. So we sit in meditation. So meditation isn't a time for planning, and yet we might see, need to do this, want to make a list. And the way we get seduced by the idea of planning. For some of us, it's the most seductive thing. Planning, organizing, projecting, imagining, futurizing. Yeah. Miriam says, I was physically in the middle of everything. I'm in India right now, and I had to change my meditation place 3 times because of a connection, being in the wrong place where people needed to clean, construction work, getting really annoyed because there was this thought before finally I can join life again. And I had to laugh at the end, but it did not feel like a meditation. Any suggestions to find a space to sit quietly if there seems to be none? So, of course, if you're going to sit where people are literally coming along and needing to sweep the very spot that you're at, then, that's not a place where that's not a suitable place. And sometimes that's just unknown, right? So you say, this seems to be a place I can sit quietly for an hour. Sitting quietly for an hour doesn't mean that there won't be disturbance. There might be noise, construction noise, etc., etc. but it's like, is that a disturbance? Are unwelcome noises really a disturbance? Or is what you do with the unwelcome noise the real disturbance? You know, oh, why that? Why now? Well, don't these people realize I'm meditating? Oh, I can't believe that they're always doing construction work in this place. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's the real disturbance. And the construction noise is just that. It's just noise. It's just part of the current texture of experience. So that's the one thing, the sense of expecting the quiet place to not have to be a certain way, whether it's hot or cold, noisy or quiet, etc., smelly or clean, etc. That's not the most important thing. And of course, we start off with the intention, let me find a place that as much as possible is clean and quiet and comfortable. But in the recognition that clean and quiet and comfortable are not at all stable or reliable conditions. You know, they could all change at any moment. So that's the one thing. And then if there's a genuine disturbance, right, like if somebody comes along and is sweeping or cleaning, I think you said, and you have to move because they need to clean the spot you're at, right? So then, you know, that's not just about being equanimous. No, you've got to get up and move. But then too, it's like, what's the real interruption? Meditation, the form of meditation, can be interrupted at any moment. So I would say in that moment, this practice of being in the midst of it all is to see how graciously am I able to just kind of move with the change in circumstances, you know. How am I graciously I'm able, like you say, to laugh at the end. Good, but it did not feel like meditation. What would have felt like meditation? I mean, I can imagine if you're having to move and there's all this stuff going on, of course, there's not the depth and the steadiness that meditation might sometimes offer you that might not be available then. But there are other qualities of meditation, not taking things too personally, right? Being spacious around what's happening, being able to laugh, right, at it all. Humor is a very spiritual quality, I think. So depth and stillness might not be available if you've got all these so-called interruptions or distractions. But other beautiful qualities, helpful qualities, liberating qualities might be available. Finn says, I'm in the midst of a lot of swirling emotions about an uncertain close relationship. How can I deal with all the emotional and mind reactions and feeling of being carried away? And then Isabel underneath asks about, can you say something about the amplification of existing anxieties during meditation? So those are both a little similar. So there's two things I could say. The first is when meeting emotional discomfort, there's two components to it, right? There's the story, what's happening and why and when it happened and how it's going to change and what, and all of that. The endless replaying, what she said, what he's like, how it might be in the future, how it could have been different in the past, all of that. And then there's the physical component, right? Just the ache of, you know, the pain of separation or the tremulousness of the confusion and the uncertainty, etc. Give the maximum of your attention to the physical rather than to the story. The story keeps all of that drama going, but doesn't. So you can't stop the story happening, but you come in, let yourself actually feel and tend to. The main, most important thing with swirling emotions is to care for them, to give them the space to be felt. And we feel like, no, I have to think about what happened and why, and as if I'm going to solve it there. But you don't solve it there. You just keep feeding it there. It's like Buddha says, Buddha's example or images, it's like trying to put out a fire by adding wood. You keep on thinking about it. You're just adding wood to the fire. Instead, I feel really uncertain, really insecure, really hurt. Oh, that's painful. Because it's painful, I want to keep bouncing away from it. But what can not bounce away from it? Tenderness, kindness. And then if it's too much, oh, you can come away. You don't have to go right in here. Come away and be a bit spacious. Open your eyes and realize it's not just my emotional intensity. There's also some space. And then you come in again, etc. So that's sort of titrating it. I go into a lot of detail about that in my book. And then if you feel like anxiety is getting amplified, right, or if you feel like you cannot be with an emotion because it's too intense, again, don't go to the story and just swirl it up. Go away from the anxiety too much. Go to something that's not too much. How do your feet feel, for example? Feet don't get anxious. Oh, the anxiety's all here. How do your feet feel? You might just keep taking your attention down, and then it bounces up. Oh, yes, but down. Oh, yes, down. And if that's not enough, you might actually physically reach forward and hold your feet, It's like, oh. Holding your feet can sometimes just feel very reassuring. Or putting your hands flat on the ground. It's like, oh yeah, there's a steady earth beneath me. So, we talk about being with whatever experience is happening, but you can only be with it to the extent that you have the capacity. And if you don't feel like you have the capacity, if this feels too much, then don't try to be with something that feels too much. You'll just get overwhelmed. Right? So if you feel like sitting with and coming into and feeling anxiety actually amplifies it, come away. Come away, and then when it feels a little more manageable, come back again. So that same thing, coming in and then moving away from. Titrating, right? Touching in and then giving space. Touching in and giving space. Yes. All right, friends. Michelle says, any possibility of a better connection? I keep losing the image today. Yes, Michelle, tomorrow I will be in Paris with proper internet speed, as opposed to out in the middle of nowhere today with very poor internet speed. So let's see, hopefully better tomorrow. All right, friends. Good to be here. Blessing somehow to be able to just be in the midst of it all together. Sitting together, supporting one another. So thank you for the goodness of your practice. Maybe that's a way to go through the day, just remembering to remember that you're always in just the right spot, actually. Pleasant or unpleasant, difficult or easy, but here I am in the midst of it all. All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow.